Ethereum goes down the same time PulseChain goes live. Coincidence? This is Around the Blockchain. All right, let's see if I remember how to do this. Thank you for joining, everybody. Make sure you hit that like button. Go ahead, please. All right, let's get right into it. On the top left, we have Evil Rob joining today from Sin City Crypto. Where's Good Rob at?
Good Rob, no here. Hola!
Hey, what's going on? Always a good time. Also on today, we have Cassius Cuvee, and just heard your song is featured on one of the other guest shows. What is the next song you're working on?
I just recorded something last night. We're going to reveal it in Miami, probably tomorrow, the day after.
All right. Looking forward. Is it about PulseChain? And then also on today, we have RiceTVx, the recipient of that previously mentioned music video. Rice, what were you talking about on that video? What could we expect from your channel?
What music video are you talking about?
Was that not on that was Sin City Crypto. I am a liar, a falsifier. And you were just a factual denier.
But I do have an awesome third interview that I released early last week with G. Edward Griffin, the author from The Creature from Jekyll Island. I definitely encourage people to check out.
All right. I can't wait to see what he says about Marlon Brando. And also on today, we have Forrest change his Twitter handle 00 Forrest with 2 R's. And Forrest, are you ready to start this week?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks. All right, let's get right into it. First, ETH interrupted. Yes, it is giving Solana, as they like to say. It had 2 failures in just about 24 hours. First one was on the 12th, lasted for about 25 minutes. And the second one the following day lasted for about 45 minutes. Stopped the nodes from executing transactions, which created the downtime here. But while transactions were technically halted, they weren't finalized. They were still going through. And as of press time, it looks like ETH staking has not slowed down. The price has not changed whatsoever to the downside. We actually just pulled up. It is up 1.64% here. And I guess that's testament to the ETH team acted pretty quickly to, patch up these fixes, put it out there onto the EVM. And seems like it worked pretty well in the meantime. Now, Sin City, I said it before. You've mentioned them before. I'm talking about Solana. Is the Solana comparison here accurate? I mean, we have an outage, and then the next day it's a green candle. No one seems to really care. I mean, is this an apt description?
Well, the throughput didn't cease. So there was, the transactions are still going through. There was still productivity going on the mainnet. So a little contrast to what we've seen before on the Solana network, where you've had just downtime and nothing was operating. And I do want to say that even though these two are a little different, it is still concerning. It is still after a major hard fork. It's within the last few months the hard fork went through, the Shanghai one. And I'll say that right now the throughput is down compared to where it's going to be in the next bull market. We've seen that when you pass the stress test in the bull market, then that's completely different than being in the bear market. I liken it to operating an AC. Like if your AC runs in the springtime, the winter and fall, that's great. But if your AC is shaky and it has any kind of like issues, it's teetering on functionality. And when do you think that thing is going to break? It's probably going to be in the middle of the summer, at the hottest day of the year. And I think that although I think Ethereum will be fine, to have some downtime now in the middle of a bear market, will it pass a stress test during the middle of the summer, which would be the next bull market here after the halving? And when you throughputs are up by 10, 100x, that's what I'm kind of questioning. I think Ethereum will be fine, but it does leave me wondering, what if?
What if? Well, let's look at this price and say, what if this never would have happened? On the 12th, this is the day of the outage. And then it prints a massive green candle. And actually, after it went out, the price went up. Now, Cassius, were you surprised by the lack of reaction with ETH's price when, to Rob's point, it didn't cease operating, but it ceased, finalizing all transactions? How do you explain the giant movement to the upside?
I think overall, right, we're in a bear market right now. Market is down. And I think that most of the people who are in crypto right now are like the average education level is higher than when it's a bull market fervor. So I think a lot of the DJs and the people who really know a lot about crypto probably read up on it. You know, they know that it was the throughput was still working and it wasn't like a major collapse. It wasn't a complete stoppage like Solana. So I think a lot of them maybe even anticipated, as far as price action, they probably anticipated a sell off. And then when they only saw so much of a sell off, they figured there'd be a bounce, and it makes a little small FOMO to buy that bounce. I mean, Ethereum is not going away, right? Will Ethereum be the best layer one blockchain in 5 or 10 years? I don't know the answer to that. I'm not an Ethereum maxi, so I don't necessarily believe that. But for right now, Ethereum's not going anywhere. So the people who are really into with smart contract layer ones, they're all in Ethereum right now. And so they're more educated than the normal folks, you know, when there's a bull run. So they probably weren't freaked out by it. And they're like, look, I'm going to buy the dip.
All right. Well, yeah, the market didn't really seem freaked out, but RiceTVx, you kind of hold coins to a little bit of a higher level of esteem here. Does this change your viewpoints on Ethereum? Are you a little concerned with its health long term after this weekend?
No, absolutely not. I mean, for one, Ethereum, they have some of the best developers in the world. I mean, this is definitely going to get fixed. I mean, is it alarming? Yes. But I mean, is it unusual? Absolutely not. I mean, since the creation of technologies, there's always going to be bugs and glitches. And we've seen that happen throughout time. We've seen it on Bitcoin. I've mentioned it many times on this show alone. So, and people still utilize and own Bitcoin. So with this technology being so new, we're going to still see many challenges, but it also shows how early we are to this game as well. You know, that's a big thing that people need to take in consideration with this. It also shows the decentralization versus what happened with Solana. Solana was able to halt their blockchain, get their fix done, and then relaunch the blockchain or just open the chain back up. In this particular instance, you didn't see Ethereum. They didn't have that capability to do anything like that. It does show the decentralized nature of the network itself. So again, it's not alarming. We're going to have glitches. But you mentioned something that I didn't even think about with these articles about Ethereum and Pulse. This situation happening. Was this glitch that we've seen on Ethereum? Was it on Saturday the 13th, the same day that we had the launch of Pulse? Was that actually correct?
It was. I had to dig into the block time because UTCs. It's so hard to tell, but it's worth exploring.
Right,
I would like to see the actual minutes apart there.
But they were the same day.
Again, UTC, it's 14 hours past, 22 hours past. I'd have to double check before I just say for sure. Yes.
Because what would be interesting about that, just to add, is, you know, Richard Hart's a really smart guy. And when he did Hex, he was going through multiple audits of what he was doing. So I'm sure he did the same thing with the Ethereum blockchain and other layer one blockchains. He may have found some vulnerabilities in the Ethereum network and took advantage of that as he was launching Pulse, because it is kind of interesting the day that Pulse launches that this takes place.
All right.
I mean,
well,
timing and coincidence could be the situation, but it is interesting.
Adding an interesting wrinkle to this story for sure. All right. Well, speaking of wrinkled, I want some more wrinkled bills in my wallet, Forrest. And sometimes I look to you for some spot trades. You put out some pretty good spot trades out there. I copy traded your dust and forgot to sell at the top. So, you know, but still doing well. Still above my entry point here. And I'm looking at ETH. My transactions didn't finalize over the weekend on 2 separate occasions. Should I just go ahead and panic sell all my ETH and just grab some Solana or ADA?
Yeah. Sell everything. Never buy ETH again. No, of course not. Look, this is extraordinarily common with blockchains for nodes to go down, and it happens very commonly with basically every blockchain that undergoes any throughput or like serious utilization. It's happened with Bitcoin. I'll give you an example, right? Occasionally nodes go down, right? And a blockchain experiences degraded performance. We saw it with Bitcoin when China attacked the Bitcoin network by banning Bitcoin mining in China. A bunch of nodes went down, and because so many, by design, Bitcoin was resilient, and it just took a longer period of time. It took 122 minutes for the next block to be mined. And again, people celebrated Bitcoin's decentralization and its resilience in that situation. But there was a period of time where we saw degraded performance. Cardano, everybody's already forgotten about it. A couple months ago, it might have been less than that now, but like over 50% of the nodes in Cardano went down, and they recovered within a couple of minutes. Everybody celebrated the resilience of the Cardano network. This is normal for one reason or another, whether it's a bug or it's a denial of service attack, or it's a country coming in and creating regulation that attacks a network. Nodes go down for one reason or another. And in the case with Ethereum, we saw a fast recovery. Normally, it takes 12 minutes to confirm an Ethereum block or to finalize a transaction. In that period of time, I believe it took 36 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, for some of those transactions to finally finalize. This shows the decentralized nature of Ethereum, where eventually the other nodes took over. The nodes that had the issue had the issue resolved, and they came back online. This is the difference here between Ethereum and Solana was Solana, they actually had an outage because they had to restart the network. Ethereum's network did not have to restart. Cardano's network did not have to restart. And the Bitcoin network did not have to restart. So that's the major difference. So no, I think this is an absolute non-issue. This is actually pretty normal. And it's a sign of resilience. It's a good thing. We want to see how a network can react to nodes going down or having issues in some manner or another.
Okay, so the ETH devs weren't in a Discord call together. A little different this time. Just a little different.
Right.
All right. Okay. All right. Little shot at Solana. Hey, I still hold a little Solana. And speaking of things I hold, I also hold a little Pulse. I just checked my wallet today. Yes, DZ sacked. I guess a year ago, DZ sacked. All right. Hex, however, is down considerably on the week. If you look at the daily, we are up 3.27%. But you can see here a 50% decline just a few days ago, right around the ETH downtime. You see it holding support right there at 6 cents, and then plummeted all the way down to 3 cents for the 7-day drop, coming in around 49% when I last looked there. But PulseChain and PulseX just went live over the weekend, created by Richard Hart, similar to Hex there. Saw 337,000 transactions over the weekend. It looks like there's already over 200 projects set to build on this application. PulseX, every token that is on Ethereum will also live on there. There's people already swapping and trading these tokens, including NFTs here. But there's a little quote here when it comes to Pulse. The main differences, this is from Richard, the main differences are speed, cost, deflation, and efficiency of the network. It's capable of hundreds of transactions per second, vastly outpacing Ethereum's 13. So hundreds of transactions per second versus Ethereum's 13, according to the team there. All right, well, Rice, let's just kind of sum up your thoughts here. I mean, one, Richard Hart, he called sacking for Pulse a freedom of speech. This was a display of the First Amendment. Did you display the First Amendment, and what do you think of that framing?
Well, I display the First Amendment all the time, but I didn't sacrifice to Richard Hart's Pulse. I didn't do anything to that effect, and I was actually able to, I guess, if you have Ethereum, you were able to get some Pulse. So I was checking my MetaMask wallet yesterday, and I do have a little bit of Pulse. Now, I have a question about this. It's kind of a pet smart or pet mark question, and this goes with PulseX. Is it PulseX or is it PulseX? It kind of really confuses me when it comes to that whole question about what it is. But to get serious, I mean, this has taken 2 years to launch. It's another layer 1 solution. And one of the things that Richard Hart was touting PulseChain is doing is cheaper gas fees. Now, one of the things that we saw with the launch is a spike in gas fees, and we also seen the token price decline as well. Now, we see this generally with the token price dumping upon a launch, which makes sense. But as far as the gas fees, I'm kind of concerned about that. If it's supposed to be working on a solution to have cheaper fees, and that was one of the reasons why this was created, to see that it had spiked gas fees in its launch is definitely alarming. But again, it's just another layer 1 protocol. It is kind of interesting as far as what's going to happen with all these airdrops, and whether or not they're actually going to have value or they're going to be taken seriously, because even Hex itself, prior to Pulse being launched, it's not really listed on most coin aggregator sites. It's not taken very seriously in the cryptocurrency space. So it may be treated that way as well with Pulse. This may just kind of be like its own playground that people can play on that's not really included on the bigger playground per se.
Yeah, a scarlet letter kind of follows that coin, or I guess in this case, a pink and golden letter. Yeah, just to that point, we look at
Hey, but
Hex's market
can
cap.
we
Go
do
ahead.
some sort of can we do something for the audience and try to do a questionnaire, a poll or something about that Pulse question, the PulseX question or PulseX?
Okay. Well, I say do a tweet, and then maybe around the blockchain, we'll give you a little retweet there. All right. Well, just to his point there, market cap is $5.2 billion. But if you were to click on Coin Market Cap and go to where you would see a $5.2 billion market cap, it is missing. So it would be coming in as a top 20 coin according to Coin Market Cap, sitting between Avalanche and Shiba Inu. So if you ever look for it and you couldn't see it, that is what we're speaking of right there. All right. Well, Forrest, Rice bringing up a good point. We're going to have all these tokens on PulseX there, including NFTs. I want to ask you, will these NFTs have any value? Can you expect people to trade for the Pulse version of a Bored Ape or maybe a Polygon bridged DeGod? Say it's on Ethereum. Do you see anyone desiring these NFTs? Will it have any kind of market? Can we expect a penny on the dollar, or is this more joke NFTs to you?
Look, I mean, this is right. This is just an Ethereum fork. So we already saw something similar. We've seen, or twice, we saw Ethereum Classic and Ethereum Proof of Work. So look what happened with Ethereum Classic, and look what happened with the NFTs on Ethereum Proof of Work. They're essentially worthless. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that I think PulseX is going to go to zero or it's a worthless chain or anything like that. But I don't see a scenario where, if you have a Bored Ape or a Mutant Ape or an NFT that's worth a lot of money on Ethereum, Ethereum is where the liquidity is, and that's where the market for that specific NFT is. I don't see a market developing for NFTs that are on that originated on Ethereum. However, someone could come in, create an NFT exchange for PulseX, right? And somebody could launch a PulseX native NFT project, do all of the marketing within the PulseX ecosystem. We see a liquidity within the PulseX ecosystem and make a successful NFT project on PulseX. I just don't think that the pre-existing Ethereum-based NFTs are going to have any value. And the main reason for that is because we've seen Ethereum forks in the past, and we've never seen the NFTs carry over value.
All right, yeah, I think using ETH POW is a pretty good template just to see how this is going to react in the future. All right, Sin City Crypto. I think Rice, he brought up a really good point where there's a lot of strong feelings about Richard Hart, whether it's his shopping videos or his twerk videos, or maybe just his thoughts on Bitcoin has riled up a lot of people. Will that affect PulseX and PulseChain's listings on aggregators, listings on exchanges? Will the community reject him because of his past tweets?
No, I don't think it's going to be treated any differently than what we've seen with Justin Sun from Tron. He's a good example. He rubs people the wrong way. He's very outspoken, and it's either you're extremely you're on one camp or the other. You're in favor of Tron, and otherwise, or you hate it. And same thing with Justin Sun. Very similar dichotomy here with the Hex and Richard Hart. I haven't really subscribed. I buy more into Hex than I do PulseChain, just for the simple fact that it's essentially just a fork. Oh, you got to love that outfit right there, man. That is clean. But I would say that I'm more a fan of Hex. I think Hex is more logical for me. I don't think that forking a smart contract platform that has NFTs and tokens on their smart contracts is a recipe for success. Not saying that it will work, but I'm just saying that anytime that you have forked other projects in the past, look no further than Bitcoin Cash and SV, the Satoshi Vision, Ethereum Classic, as Forrest had mentioned, and the ETH Proof of Work. Especially when you get into the smart contracts, because now you have two NFTs of everything, every single leverage position that is associated with a smart contract, every DeFi play, everything now has a duplicate. So if you're going to take the token seriously, you have to take the NFTs and the smart contract seriously. And I just find that hard to swallow. So I do think if they do get success, it's going to be a long road, and eventually these smart contracts will kind of play itself out. But other than that, I think that the transactions are low for the simple fact that they don't have the same amount of transactions, or the speed is low, gas fees are low, because when you look at Ethereum, they're processing roughly a million plus transactions per day, while you have way less throughput on the Pulse chain. So right now you're going to have cheaper gas fees. I know the Ethereum blockchain is 12 seconds for finality, while on PulseChain it's supposed to be 10. And I know they're supposed to get more transactions per block, but I haven't really dug into that too much. But I think the transaction fees are low for the simple fact that they're not processing as many as Ethereum. I would just give it a test of time. I would say I'm not hating on PulseChain, but I would just give it a little time. It's new. It's a new fork. See if it catches adoption, and then I would go from there.
All right. Well, speaking of catching,
can I
go ahead,
add something? 'Cause I don't think that this is actually like an Ethereum fork per se. I think that it has some Ethereum aspects. I think it has some Binance Smart Chain aspects, but it has a fork-like aspect with the airdrop from the Ethereum tokens. But it's not an Ethereum fork.
That's a good point. Yeah,
he literally
co-opting some
he
of
snapshotted. He snapshotted the chain
Hex,
and then
airdropped
airdropped
off of Bitcoin though too. So it was just simply a snapshot of what, but it's not actually using the Ethereum blockchain. It's no fork of Ethereum at all. If anything, it's more of a fork.
But
of
it
BSC.
still takes all the code. I mean, you can basically just highlight, right click, copy.
Yeah.
And the and the code.
All right. Well, speaking of snapshots, he just got pulled out of a lineup, according to his last music video, at least. Cassius, what are your thoughts on Richard? And, has that affected your decision making when it comes to buying some of this? And prediction for you, will we see Pulse on, say, Coinbase 12 months from now, or Robinhood 12 months from now?
Well, that's a good question. Considering that we don't see, for example, Hex on CoinMarketCap, there's a chance that we possibly won't see it on PulseChain. On any of the other exchanges. 12 months, a long time. A lot of stuff can happen in 12 months in crypto. I'm telling everybody right now, they might want to start DCAing because that's what I'm doing, at least, not financial advice, because things I think will considerably change in 12 months. So hard to predict that. But as far as Richard Hart is concerned, I'm not necessarily sold on him. I know Hex has a very vibrant community, but I have seen some interviews with him where he said some questionable things and kind of talked in circles a couple of times. But then again, he's not the only person who's ever done that, who's the head of a cryptocurrency or an exchange or anything. I've seen CZ do it. I've seen a lot of people do it. But he's not selling me the way he's selling some other folks. I'll put it that way. So as far as PulseChain, being something that is really kind of dumps to, I don't know. I mean, I want to talk about the forking issue real quick that they were discussing over there. I do want to pose the question, right? So whether or not it's exactly an Ethereum fork or not, however you want to define that, okay, I understand there's nuances and whatnot. But is that a problem with Richard Hart and PulseChain, or is that a question that we need to ask about Ethereum and layer one blockchains that can be forked? And the reason I bring that up is because there are layer one blockchains that cannot be forked, that are forkless. And I think that's something that is going to get more talked about as time goes on, as we develop Web3 and we talk about enterprise businesses and corporations who are going to want to use a blockchain to run their business in the future. Maybe not this year, next year, but in the future, they're not going to want a community fighting over or having any sort of discussion over whether their blockchain that they use for their daily business, if it can be forked or not. They're going to want something that just works, and have to think about that. So I just want the community to kind of ponder over that for a while. Like, why is that even a question? Why? Perhaps that's something that we need to discuss more.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of baggage when it comes to Richard, and not just his shopping sprees. Rice, go ahead.
I gotta finish my thought, because what I wanted to finish saying was, it's not a fork, it's a spoon.
Okay. All right. Since with the Pulse, okay, I got what you're going. Spoon at least, a fork in anyways. All right, let's talk about SEC versus LBRY. No, not your library card. I'm talking about LBRY. .com. You can see them here, LBRY.com. LBRY does to publishing what Bitcoin does to money. This is a decentralized, I would say they kind of mark themselves as just a storage facility for all decentralized content, more so less than a YouTube, just a repository for all types of content. But it started over 2 years ago. March of 21, SEC brought a suit against LBRY for selling unregistered securities. even though they didn't have an ICO, they had team tokens that they then sold over on different exchanges. Then they're fined $22 million last year, but they just rolled back their $22 million fine, knocked it down over 99% to $111,000. SEC revised it due to lack of funds and their near defunct status, and retained them. And then December of 22, LBRY contended injunctions unnecessary since they're already in the process of shutting down operations and burning the existing LBC tokens as we speak. All right, well, Sin City Crypto, they reduced the fine by 99%. Does that give you a glimmer of hope, a little light at the end of the tunnel that maybe the SEC is trying to be a slightly friendly with crypto?
No. All that happened here was they sued a company to make a statement, to make a point, and they had somebody that couldn't defend themselves, and they wanted to use this as a point and example for other projects that are in litigation. Like, hey, we sued this company, as you can see the verdict here, and so they're just trying to use it for precedence. That said, the 22 million. I don't even think the market cap for LBRY in its entirety, all of its tokens, and the founders didn't hold all the tokens. It wasn't even 22 million at the time of the lawsuit. It was at one point in time at the height of the bull market, but we know the lawsuit came later on in late 2022. And they didn't have that money, so they knew going in, suing them for that amount, they weren't going to be able to pay, and essentially was going to bankrupt them. Now that they know that there's really no value left, they've reduced the amount, so that way they can squeeze them for whatever they can. They wanted that $22 million number to be a headline news as a warning shot to other crypto companies, but they know they couldn't get it, and in doing so, they've lowered it to something that is a little bit more manageable. I don't think it's anything bullish. I just think it's the SEC playing their crooked games there.
All right. Well, yeah, they do like their games. All right. Cassius, they have this chart. This isn't verified. This is from their own Twitter. So take these metrics with a grain of salt. LBRY, they do have a product called Odyssey. Odyssey, hey, according to them, has a bright future so long as it's not being harassed and abused by the government. But according to them, Odyssey has 5 million unique customers coming in monthly here, monthly unique visitors. What's its prospects like now that this is behind them? You actually make content. I mean, all the eyeballs are on YouTube. Is there a desire to seek out these decentralized social media apps, and will they thrive and flourish over the next couple of years?
I hope so. I really do. I mean, I love that, Twitter is a place that we can all talk about crypto, but I would love it if we move to some of the other decentralized social media platforms. As you guys know, I'm verified on DeSo. I have a song called Verified on DeSo. That's decentralized social. So, I definitely am an advocate always for Web3 and for being on decentralized social media. It's hard to get everyone to move over, but, I actually had not heard of this one. I don't know how many people are really using it. First time I've heard of it, and I talked to a lot of people in social media, but I definitely think that that's where I would like the community to go to. So, this in particular, this lawsuit, or this, I should say, the lowering of the value of it, I agree with Big Rob that it's sounds like the SEC playing SEC games. It's you get that big headline settlement. What they know they couldn't pay it, so it's obviously it's a scare tactic. Them lowering it, it feels good, right? It feels good. It feels like a win in the moment, but in reality, I don't know if it really is. But it's definitely something in the right direction. If I was another chain or company or I was looking at this and you think that there's maybe a chance that, the original settlement could get lowered, it's not a bad thing, right? So I think that's good. I mean, hopefully LBRY presses on. Hopefully they do get more awareness to their decentralized social media. I'd love to see it.
All right. Well, you're bringing up some good points there. Rice, what are your thoughts over why they reduced this fine? It's over 99.5%. They started at 22 million, brought down to just over 100K. Was it just headlines? Are they sending a message? Is this fun and games to you?
No, I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with the inability to pay and the fact that LBRY is pretty much done. I mean, even though this has turned out well for them overall, they've spent a lot of money and resources, and I don't think that they're going to continue with development with LBRY. Now, LBRY will continue to exist. It is a blockchain in and of itself. It has its nodes. And I've interviewed Jeremy Kauffman numerous times, the CEO of LBRY and Odyssey. And the reason was that I got involved with the platform was because of what happened back in December of 2019 on Christmas Eve and Christmas, which we called the crypto YouTube purge. They took out a bunch of channels. And I was using different platforms to post videos on via Steemit. I think, I can't remember the platform, but they weren't, it was DTube. They weren't transferring videos normally. They were just embedding the video. So once a video was deleted from YouTube, it wasn't no longer over on DTube. But LBRY, they transfer the videos, it stays on chain. So if something happens or stays on a node, if something happens to the video on YouTube, it doesn't affect what happens on Odyssey. So until Rumble came out and improved their platform, Odyssey and LBRY were the only real good alternatives that we had as content creators, other than, besides YouTube, that was offering something unique with freedom of speech, which I greatly appreciate the fact that there's no censorship or any sort of shadow banning that takes place on the platform. They've been very supportive of the crypto community. And I'm glad that the secondary sales of the LBRY token, the LBC native token, are not securities. I'm glad that the fine was reduced because it definitely shows that the SEC can't hold its weight. Because either way, even if they don't get paid, just reducing the fine shows weakness to me as far as the SEC is concerned. But we definitely need to be supporting more of these technologies. Now, as far as the LBRY blockchain, it is always going to be the backbone and the technology utilized with Odyssey. So I definitely encourage people to use Odyssey, to use LBRY. With Odyssey in particular, you can download videos, which you can't do on YouTube unless you want to use like a Ripper. You could do the same thing with LBRY itself if you want to download the application on your computer. So definitely support these decentralized social media aspects. And I would definitely encourage people to make sure that they're supporting Odyssey, which is basically the son of LBRY that's going to actually compete on a major level.
And also Rice's favorite Mario game, if I'm not mistaken, too. All right, Forrest, last question here. Why does it seem like every Web3 company releases a token, and is that hurting everyone's chances, helping everyone's chances because it raises money? What are your thoughts, and is it going to change moving forward? Are we seeing more tokens or less tokens as we head into this space called crypto?
Yeah, I mean, so long as there's demand for tokens that launch, you'll see companies and projects continue to launch tokens, whether they're decentralized companies and projects or not. Whether, I mean, they're just going to continue to cash grab. If it's an alternative way to make money, you can just give yourself. You can take a team allocation of 20-25%, raise $10 million market cap, and a token is not difficult to achieve. $20 million market cap, not difficult to achieve, even for some smaller projects. You have a nice deck, a pretty solid team, you're doxed, you're in a bull market, $100 million market cap, not difficult to achieve, 20% team allocation, that's $20 million. Raising that through traditional means is much more difficult. Making $20 million in other ways is much more difficult. So yeah, we're going to continue to see it. Do I think it's good for the space? No, not necessarily. But we've also got people giving $7 million to a random dude in a pre-sale for a meme coin. We have a Pepe meme coin that reached over $1.5 billion. As long as there's liquidity and demand and willingness to speculate and gamble, companies and projects are just going to sit and continue to launch more and more tokens. In the long term, I think you'll see a lot of these tokens go to zero or see 90+% drawdowns. And the tokens and projects that actually have solid use cases and utility and good tokenomics will thrive. And there's only a handful of those.
Yeah, only a handful. Forrest, favorite coin? Is it Bitcoin?
Not right now. No.
ETH.
Dust is my favorite coin right
Dust.
now.
Hey, I like it. I have it's grown into a respectable percentage of my portfolio. All right, that is all we have time for. And Rice, you ended up taking it home. Despite trying to cover your mouth, you couldn't hide what you had to say. Rice, feel free. I wish I was joining you in Miami, but at least you can leave us with some parting thoughts in the meantime.
Yeah, man, I wish you would be in Miami as well. I know you're going to be out at VCon. I know Crypto Blood is going to be at VCon, but for anybody else who's going to be at Miami, make sure you come out. I'm going to be there. I think Sin City Crypto is going to be there. Cassius City is going to be there. A lot of people are going to be there, so make sure you come out. Also, make sure you subscribe to my channels, RiceTVx and Rice Against the Grain, as well as all the other guests. And if you are going to be at Miami, come out to the Web3 is a Joke event taking place on Thursday night.
All right. Looking forward to it. I'm going to have to see those clips of the roast session. But until next time, please go ahead, hit that like button. Make sure you check out everyone's content below. Links are in the description. Until next time, DZ out.